Welcome to the Woke Wild Women podcast. I am Bethany Evans, and this is my
Roxanne Sailors.
Thank you guys so much for checking out our podcast. This is the first episode of spring, and if you've been following us, you know that we follow the seasons, and so our theme for spring is resilience and rebirth. And I think it was inspired a lot by spring, obviously, and what happens during spring, but a lot about what's happening in the world right now also. With the coronavirus and all that, because that's when we're recording it. We're in like the deep shit of it right now. So I'm so excited for our guest today, Janice. It's Roodsari, right? Is that how you say it?
It is.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Janice is a registered nurse. She's a lactation consultant. She also does Reiki and energy healing with crystals, specifically, right? Do you always use crystals when you do the energy healing?
I offer it as an option, but I haven't had anyone say no thank you yet. So
yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? Who would? Okay, so first we want to hear about how you found your way into the work that you do. So probably the nursing and the lactation consulting, and then from there you went into energy healing, right?
Yeah. I started with well, I guess we have to go way back to the birth. No, we have to go further back. It was before the birth of my twins, because I was a nurse before that.
Okay.
I think, just in childhood growing up, I had an aunt who it wasn't technically my aunt, but like I was raised with her as my aunt and my uncle. And she was a nurse, and she did a lot of childcare for us on her off days early on. When I was young, and I just looked up to her. And I had another aunt that was in the medical field. She did some tech work, and I was just really excited about, I think there are certain people that are born in the healing field. I don't want to like say healer, because although, many people will, and that's cool to claim that title. But I don't want anybody to think, oh, I have these powers and I miraculously, like take cancer away or something like that. It's nothing like that. But I do feel like I was called to be in the healing field as a type of a healer.
Yeah.
So I went into pre-nursing school in college. And, it was just kind of to get all your basics out of the way with college. And I got a bit overwhelmed because we had a lot of cancer in our family. And I thought, I want to be an oncology nurse. And I thought that was really special work. I felt really grateful to the medical personnel and the nurses that had cared for my dad and other family members with cancer. And I thought, I want to do that. And then I sat at a bedside and held a hand of a dying woman with cancer. And I realized, this is overwhelming for me. At the time, I didn't really identify as an empath. So I didn't realize that like she was like literally draining my energy, like every bit. So I left pre-nursing, got a degree in philosophy.
Nice.
Which is, super practical. And
lots of jobs for that.
Yes. Parents were stoked.
Yeah, I bet. What are you going to do with your degree?
Exactly. I heard it so many times. I'm like, but I just really love it. So
right.
I'm really glad to have that background though, with all the deeper questions and meaning of life and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of that, classic philosophical reading background. So, and then I graduated, and then I thought, what am I going to do now? And my mom kept always saying, well, you could always go back to nursing school. And I think because she said that, I kind of pushed back and was like, I told you, I don't want to do that.
The rebellious teenager.
Yeah. But you know what? Moms usually know. There are some don't, but she's a good one. So,
sometimes they're right.
Yeah, sometimes they're right. And so, I was just doing other work, coffee shop work, and just a bunch of other work, and decided, okay, wait, maybe I do want to go back to nursing school. So I went to nursing school. with already having my BA, so I didn't have to do too many prereqs. Got in, really fell in love with labor and delivery and went straight into labor and delivery. And I had been working as a nurse tech on like a med surg floor. I had worked in the ICU, CCU as a tech, and had really started to pick up on the fact that like I'm good at connecting with people. And so there were, you know, patients that didn't have family to visit them that were dying in the hospital, in the ICU. And like, you know, I had other work to keep me busy, but everybody was cool if I just sat in there and held that person's hand. And like I said, if you need me, I'll be in here. And that felt really special. So, you know, kept pursuing the work, started working in labor and delivery, and it's intense. You know, birth in our, you know, birth in our country is, it's a place that has lots of room for growth. To put it very nicely. Yeah, to put it very nicely.
Very politically correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not always, but you know, I worked with a lot of wonderful physicians and nurses, but I also worked with a lack of understanding of like this basic physiological process, you know, that this is not a disease process. And when you're in nursing school, you know, it's, you know, in that Western medicine thought process, you know, it's like, okay, well, we have this process and we're going to fix it with like medication or surgery. And there's this lack of holistic care that goes in. You know, yes, we talk about nutrition. Yes, we talk about exercise and how that's good for you. And that's becoming much more talked about for everyone. Everyone's learning more about this, I think. But that labor and delivery area it just wasn't holistic enough for me. It was, you know, watch the monitor and push these meds and push labor along, and you know, we're not like letting this natural process take place. And that, along with my migraines, just which I had chronic migraine at that time, was just too much for my body. So got a little bit overwhelmed. Started having a lot of migraines, and started seeing a neurologist, and he helped me get things under control. And then my husband and I decided that we could have kids because my migraines were under control.
Nice.
And yeah, we got pregnant and had twins. And then I fell into this, and during that process in pregnancy, I did that thing that a lot of women do, where we start looking like, oh, wait, what can I eat? What can I eat? What chemicals are not okay to have at my house? When we put the nursery together, I got to get the low VOC or no VOC paint, and just kind of went down that like environmentally friendly and like least toxic as possible mentality, and that rabbit hole. So dug in a lot there. Started researching diapers, and I know like, oh, this is not like the focus of the podcast here, but diapers were like a big part of my life and in becoming the teacher that I am. Well, I had, yeah, well, that plus the fact that like I started looking for, okay, what's compostable diapers. I started like Googling that, because I wanted, when we came home, we had these diapers that were gifted at our baby shower, and we were going through like 24 or more diapers a day. Right. With
it's a lot
2
of waste.
Newborns. It's a lot. And our garbage was half full at least of diapers. And it was, that made me feel ill.
Yeah.
So I started looking for alternatives. And again, this is part of that, you know, environmentally friendly rabbit hole I was diving down. And the diapers that we chose to go with, they came out while I was using their biodegradable insert options. They came out with a washable insert, and I thought, oh, well, I'm already washing the cover part. why don't I just wash the whole thing? It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And that's finally the moment when I Googled cloth diapers. And if you like have known me for any period of time, like you'll know that that was my thing. I was like the cloth diaper lady in my local area. I actually wound up signing up with the Real Diaper Association, a nonprofit that has since closed their doors. Our metaphorical doors, and for lack of funding, but wound up being on their Real Diaper Circle leader, which was just meant that I had this demo set of diapers, and I'd go out to the community and I'd teach cloth diapering classes. How do you use cloth diapers? What are they? How do you, all the 101 questions. So I did that for, I think, 7 years. And I was on their board of directors for a bit. And that really got me kind of started as an educator and connecting with the birth community, really. So I started to kind of realize I wanted to go back to work. I wanted to do something, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I wound up working with Earth Mama Angel Baby for a little while as their hospital outreach liaison, and trying to get safer products into the hospitals. They had a really nice diaper dermatitis protocol for NICU babies, so that kind of went in hand with my diaper experience.
Nice.
While I was working there, I took a Lactation Consultant course, a CLC course, and became a certified lactation counselor. Really liked that work, but just didn't see a ton of clients. It was kind of sparse here and there, just like when you're starting out as like a birth doula or something like that. You kind of pick up clients here and there. I did, during that time off, it was a long recovery after birth. I was at home with the kids for 7 years, and it took probably, I want to say, 2 years to really kind of look back and realize, oh yeah, I had some pretty bad postpartum depression and anxiety going on there. So there are all these things that I really suffered through that I'm really glad to have that experience in my past, because I can really identify with the birthing community that I'm working with now. So decided that working from home for Earth Mama was not for me, because I need interaction, I need people. And then started my business as a postpartum doula and a lactation counselor, or a CLC. So got going there. I had started my business and was doing a lot of work on healing myself, my body, my finding my way, spiritually, and identifying as an empath, and realizing, okay, how do I protect myself better, and just in doing this work. And started working as a postpartum doula. I loved the work. I did some overnights for twins, which was just like, it was such a difference between working with this family and then my experience as a mother of twins. I was so much more capable.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I got to go home and go to sleep, so that's part of it. But I just, the confidence, the lack of that muck that you're really, because for me, that depression is like, you're just in this really thick mud and everything is hard. Dragging your body up off the couch is hard. Doing anything is just really difficult.
Yeah.
So it was not like that. It was easier.
Yeah.
So was working, I had worked in my business for about a year, feeling really good about it, connecting well with our birth community. And then one of the nurses who was at one of our local clinics, called the New Parent Resource Center, and I had been going there for years to teach a cloth diapering class for free, quarterly. she said, "Hey, Janice, do you want to get your IBCLC, which is your International Board Certified Lactation Counselor or Consultant licensing?" And it's a process. I jumped on it. I said yes, because I knew I could reach so many more families there at the center than I could in my personal work. It was tough to let go of my business, although I haven't completely. It's still there. But got started there, did my 500 clinical hours, studied for my exam, took my exam. It takes a long time to get signed up, and this process is over a year.
Oh, wow.
So finally got my results and got, licensed. And
That was just recently, right?
It was December,
December,
2019.
Yeah.
That I finally got results. Oh, it was a long process. But I've learned so much at this center. I get to see, I think we looked at the 2019 numbers, and I saw, I think it was 419 consults.
Wow.
Which is like, I can't even express like how grateful I am to have learned from each one of these families, to have had these interactions. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I mean, in that process, there was the energy work came in, and I found that was part of my healing modalities, and that I was kind of doing that work a bit anyways.
Yeah.
When I was in to see a friend who does craniosacral and physical therapy, she said, I think you should get Reiki certified. You're already kind of doing this work. It's right up your alley. Go check this lady out. And so I did. I took a level 1 and a level 2 class. I've got a level 3 on the books, but level 3 master is in Italy right now. So
wow.
And just recovering from CV. So undiagnosed, because she couldn't get a test. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. It might be pushed back, but yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I'm really, really feeling lucky that that my manager Sheila reached out to me and offered this work, and let me be a part of this community.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit more about what you do for families in your role there.
Well, I have a couple jobs there. I see one-on-one lactation consults, so they'll come in and I'll get a history, get to know them a little bit. We weigh baby and have them nurse, and we tweak any kind of position and give little pointers and stuff like that. Talk about what's going on so they have a better idea of what to expect. And let's see, so I do the consults there. I lead breastfeeding support group. Once in a while, I've covered for childbirth classes. So we have expecting parents that would come in and take childbirth classes. So I've covered for a few of those. I also, right now, while my manager's out, I'm teaching our Baby and Me class, which is just like a 6-week series. And so families can come in with their little ones. And usually it's focused on 6 months and under. So birth to 6 months, they can come in and learn about what to expect, different phases of development, exercises, baby massage, little things like that. But it can really help because we do a little kind of round robin in the beginning and say, hey, introduce yourself, introduce your baby. What's going on for you right now? Are you really struggling with sleep? Do you have something to celebrate? Did baby just roll over? We talk about what's going on in their life right now. And it's just a time to connect because it can be so isolating. Here we are isolating, right? But,
it's so true.
It's similar to new parents, a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, before we started recording, that I have parents coming in that this week even that didn't realize the extent of what's going on in the world because they've been so absorbed in this process of of birth and postpartum and healing and
Mm-hmm.
getting nursing going well.
Right.
So yeah.
All of that becomes so overwhelming, like, you know, that you can't really put your energy into other things, you know,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
become a new mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's going to watch the news right now?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why do I give a shit about what's happening with everyone else? Like, all
Yeah.
I care about is what's happening right here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, cause it's this basic struggle to like, okay, can we get enough sleep? And like,
Yes.
oh, can we get our food? Can we make time to make food? And, you
Yeah.
know,
You're in survival mode.
Yeah, we really, and that's what's exceptionally difficult right now for postpartum families is that, you know, at least in our county, we've come up with a really nice support network where different communities, you know, they'll put out a meal train request and people will sign up and they'll bring the new family's food and stuff. And
Yeah.
right now we can't do that. So it's been, I think it's really challenging for parents that are having babies right now.
Yeah.
This weekend I've been working really hard this week to try to transition a lot of our stuff to online. So now I set up this week a breastfeeding support group that we can do virtually.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah, the baby and me classes are a little bit tough because I have other media and stuff, and so I'm not super tech savvy. So trying to get that other stuff, you know, integrated into the online modalities are a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Plus we do a lot of kind of hands-on stuff. So that's been interesting. This weekend I'm going in with our one of our childbirth educators who has worked as a doula and a yoga instructor. She does our prenatal yoga classes, which she's put up one online, which is really nice.
Nice.
And we're going to go in and record a childbirth series so that our birthing families can actually get to their class. You know, they got cut off right in the middle of their 6-week series.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're still going to have their babies. So we got to give them the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop.
No. So it's been exciting to just kind of be a bit of a driving force and like, hey, we have to, because our manager is out on medical leave right now. And so it's kind of been, they're so busy at the hospital trying to get everything ready that, you know, this has kind of been in the background. And I'm like, we have a lot of traffic. We have a lot of, you know, parents coming in and vulnerable population with pregnant women and newborns and postpartum mothers. So trying to get everything as much as we can moved to a virtual format has been exhausting those last couple of weeks.
Yeah. But I mean, I think everyone's making it work, you know, like, I feel like resilience is a huge theme right now with like everybody, you know, and especially I think with motherhood and babies too, children, you know, boobies. If you're listening, she's drinking out of a mug that has boobs on it.
All
That's why I
different
said
shapes
that.
and sizes.
Yes,
it's my lactation mug.
Yeah.
If you want to check out the video.
Yeah, if you're listening, you can't see it, but that's why I said boobies. Anyways. I don't just have Tourette's and just like say random words like that. I mean, I don't know. Okay. Anyways, resilience. Well, so it's like, it seems like, I don't know, people who are doing this work or just in hearing your story is like, you were able to develop that resilience to move through, like you said, your postpartum depression that you didn't even really realize you were experiencing at the time until after you look back and you're like, oh, that's what was happening. You know,
because
like
people saw twins and they were like, oh, well, you're supposed to be overwhelmed, you know, but I wasn't supposed to be like crying every day as much as I was.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't, and aside from the fact new mothers deserve support, they don't need to be alone as much as I was. It's not okay.
Yeah.
We need our partners, we need our families, we need our village.
Yes.
And so I think there's a big turn towards this generation, especially millennials, like just pushing for more village. And it's essential, really. Like, we have to support each other through these times. It's not okay to be so isolated.
No. you're a part of the breastfeeding group on Facebook?
Yes.
Yeah. What's it called?
The nursing mamas.
The nursing. Yeah. I became a part of that too. One of my friends introduced me to that. But so like, how did you build your own community? Because did you have it already kind of like somewhat in place? I mean, I'm assuming not so much because you were depressed and isolated, like you said, but how did you realize that's what you needed, or how did you kind of move through that and build it for yourself?
That's why I say the diapering was like such a crucial part of this, because I didn't build a community when I was, so I would say for the first year, I was really on my own at home a lot. My mom was not retired yet. She had one day a week where she would come over. Some days she had other things to do, like doctor's appointments, and I melted on those days because every Monday I was like, oh, my mom will be here, it's okay. I wound up asking my brother's girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, can I pay you a nominal amount of money, and can you come over for a few hours a couple times a week? And she did. Later on I wound up getting a mother's helper, but I've just like detoured from your question. Building community. Okay, sorry, I do this.
You're just sharing how you built your community.
Yeah. So, I didn't have a whole lot of community. After that 1 year mark, I found my Mothers of Multiple twin group.
Nice.
And that was a lifesaver. I really like every 6 months they would have a convention or something like that. And so I would go, and, even when the kids were really small, I would leave for like, an overnight, and I would stay like the 2 days at the convention or the workshop and just hang out with other twin moms and breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I left like these ridiculously long notebooks full of directions for how to care for every aspect of the babies, because that was how I managed my depression and anxiety. Was I really controlled like their care, too obsessively actually, to where my husband didn't get enough. He didn't get the freedom that he probably should have to be the dad that he could have been. He's definitely, he's there. He's a great dad. But it would have been nice to, I'm so sorry. That was my phone. It would have been nice to let him kind of just like learn without so much direction from me, and also me being a nurse, he was like, oh, well, she knows best. What do I do?
It kind of puts the power in your hands.
Yeah. So, I didn't build that community until quite a while later, when I started teaching those cloth diaper classes and looking for where can I have these classes. And I reached out to, different like baby shops, and I had some in one of our local, the Lux Baby. I had a couple classes there. Little Bird, which is a consignment store, I had a couple classes there. The local birth centers, I would teach cloth diaper classes at the local birth centers with the midwives there. I had a local chiropractor who let me give a class in his location.
Nice.
There were a lot of different people who, my first class was actually with the owner at the time of the Mothers Guild, and she now helps with Ojai Cares, which donates a lot of services for cancer patients. And she was the first one to open up her doors to me and say, you can have a class here. And it was, so I just reached out and, reached out to midwives and introduced myself and said, hey, if you know anybody who would like to teach, learn about cloth diapering, I'm here. So that was my real into building that birth community, along with the fact that I worked with labor and delivery nurses and knew some people there too. So
nice. So what would you say like the biggest thing for you like awakened when you became a mother? And then maybe you can see it in other women also.
I think it's this, first, before there was much of an awakening, there was a big grief period. of everything that I lost. And I think that we don't kind of recognize that a lot, that grief that happens to who we were before babies. We don't give that enough space to moms, because, you know, we all of a sudden we go from, you know, oh, my responsibility is taking care of myself. And if we have a partner, maybe we do some things for them too. We might cook for them or something, or I don't know, you know, whatever you've chosen to do in that relationship. But there was a lot of grief for a while, and it was like, wait, did I make the right decision? Did I, you know, now I'm like, wait, I have these people will be dependent on me until they're at least 18 years. Well, I know it goes beyond that, but like, you know, legally at least 18 years. So, you know, it's just letting go of that freedom that we had, and realizing, yeah, this is the biggest commitment I've made in my entire life, is to take care of these people that are part of me. And you've got your heart walking around outside of your body, and I had two hearts walking around outside my body, and that, so there's this caretaker, you know, if you didn't already have that feeling of caretakerness, and I know not all moms immediately have that, but for me, that really did awaken, and it was like, yes, these people are my responsibility, and I have to raise them well, and that's something huge to just live with, that responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right.
Better not mess this up.
Yeah, because then it makes you look at yourself and how am I living my life, and is this the life that I want my, you know, like what environment am I making for my children, you know?
Yeah.
I think
And
a lot
moving
of
from
go ahead. I was just going to say, a lot of those decisions that you made for yourself suddenly become exponentially more important. Like you were saying, you went down the rabbit hole of like healthy environment, making sure chemicals and the compostable diapers, all that stuff. It's like those little things that you're like, oh, it's just me, no big deal. And all of a sudden it's like, this is I've got to make this decision for these people for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to be healthy so I can take care of them and live long enough to take care of them.
Right. And you realize you're the model for them.
There's a shift too from being you're not only a teacher, right? You're also, you turn into the student. And I think that's a big surprise that we don't realize, is that our children are our biggest, our best teachers.
Yes.
And they push all our buttons and they reflect things back to us, and we realize, oh wow, okay, that really triggers me. And so and I raised my voice and I shouldn't have. Maybe I overreacted there. Why did I overreact that badly?
Right. You start questioning yourself.
I wouldn't have done that with a friend. If a friend had done that, I wouldn't have, reacted like that. And so, realizing, like I have a lot to learn from my children. That I think is a big awakening that we don't talk about a whole lot.
I agree.
So yeah, they've helped me become a better me, because I realized, I don't want to react that way. And so I had to dig in and see, why am I reacting like that? Why is this triggering me? I've got a lot of work to do on myself. In the beginning, we're kind of, just in survival mode. And then when they get a little bit older, into those toddler years, we learn how much they trigger us. And then, once they kind of get school age, we have a little bit more space, if we're not homeschooling, to do that reflection and do that self-work. And so I'm really grateful that they have triggered me as much as they have. There was a lot of suffering in there, but to grow like I have from that need, I don't know that I would have done this self-work if they hadn't pushed me to do it.
Right. Because you can't get rid of them. You can't leave the relationship. You can't just be like, sorry, I don't want to date you anymore, and leave the relationship.
exactly.
They're there for life, kids.
Yeah. Yep.
So you mentioned like in the beginning, like we're being in survival mode. I think we already talked about it a couple times, but like in the work that you do, what do you see are some of the most common challenges that new parents are struggling with, or they struggle with, or challenges that they have in the first days or weeks of birth?
Yeah. I think that sense of isolation, not knowing if they're doing things right, if they're making the right decisions, this doubt. Our society places so many seeds of doubt in new parents. There's one way to do it. This is the right way, and that's the only way.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you're wrong.
Yeah. Every babies have different temperaments. Different things are going to work for different kids, and we have to be flexible. We have to surrender to this process. And so, I talk about surrendering at the classes and groups, and sometimes even in lactation consults if there's time. I think one of the big things for breastfeeding mothers is that period when we're waiting for that transitional milk to come in. So we have that colostrum, and it's thick and it's difficult to express, or it can be difficult to hand express. It can, like, putting a pump on doesn't yield much because it's so thick, and it's just, it's jam-packed with lots of good stuff. But a lot of parents don't realize that babies need so little of it in those first, especially that first day. They don't need a whole lot, but please, so I think that not having this, all of a sudden, boom, we have this bountiful milk supply, as soon as baby's born. Not having that, and not understanding that we just have to allow baby to nurse, to bring in the milk, because we have to create the demand for the supply to be there.
Exactly.
If we don't realize that, if we don't realize the milk is coming, the more plentiful and higher volume of milk is coming, just be patient. It's coming. Your baby ideally your baby has a little bit of fat stores, if they weren't born too preterm, to make it through till that time. They're going to lose a little bit of weight. That's okay. So I think not knowing that just creates these doubts, and then, like, oh, we have to give formula. And then we start this, I call it a booby trap, and I'm sure other people do too. But when we give an artificial milk, and then or even milk from someone else, but especially an artificial milk, because it kind of sits in their digestive tract and isn't as easy to digest. And they feel fuller for a bit longer. It doesn't move through their system as quickly, so they don't cue for hunger as quickly, which means they don't stimulate the breast as much. And so it's this vicious cycle of, well, they're hungry, I don't have enough milk, but then if you give formula, we're not demanding as much milk. And so those seeds of doubt just really can lead us down a road of not having a good supply. So, and I see a lot of oral restrictions on babies too, and that's probably the population that I'm seeing. So if we just trying to see people as soon as possible. I really wish everyone could see a lactation consultant right after their birth. I'm lucky that I work at a hospital that's baby friendly and has lactation nurses, and all of the postpartum nurses are trained in the basics of lactation. But I think the surrendering, the trusting that it's coming, and knowing what to look for, knowing the signs to look for. So if you're a postpartum mom, or if you're a pregnant mom, knowing that, like, okay, each day post birth, we want to see one wet diaper for every day they are old until they're 6 days, and then we want to see 6 or more wet diapers. And if we see that, like, that's one way to check and see, oh yes, they're getting something. Are we hearing some swallows? We might not hear a lot of swallows when they're in that colostrum phase, but and are they pooping? That's a good indicator too. So it's having the information to know, okay, this is going okay. This is maybe not what I expected, but so trust, surrender, and connection. Connection is key. You know, we need to know we're not alone in this. Having good support.
Yeah.
Postpartum doulas are awesome.
Yeah. I know. I wish I had a doula when I had my son now, but now I'm like, now feel so much more prepared and like informed when I have my next child. But so how do you support the women? And I mean, do you support the whole family or just mainly the women who are, you know, giving birth? You can answer that, but like, how do you support them in building their resilience through these challenges?
I think just, you know, bringing up these things, you know, that I just talked about. And yeah, a lot of times I do have partners come in with the birthing mother for lactation consult appointments. And yeah, as a postpartum doula, when I was doing that work, it was the whole family. You know, I'd meet with them beforehand and just come up with a plan and what are you thinking and what kind of help were you looking for, and these are some things that I do. I'm going to give a shout out to postpartum doulas, even though I'm not doing that work anymore, but you know, when I was working as a postpartum doula, I would go into the house and it would usually, like if it was night work while they were sleeping, you know, I would wash dishes and prep some food and fold laundry and wash laundry and you know, in between taking care of the baby or babies. And having just conversations about what to expect and really relaxing and letting mom heal, because, you know, there are studies showing that if we take our time and really heal postpartum, that even menopause later on down the road will be more gentle. So, you know, really taking that time, that fourth trimester, to really heal can make a huge difference. Yeah.
Roxanne, do you have anything to say about doula work since we're on that topic?
It's so important. It's so needed. Yeah, I think the thing that I frequently hear from people is, oh, well, my mom will be there. Oh, well, my sister's coming over, whatever. And that's wonderful. And those are important people, but there's a special place for somebody who doesn't have a lifelong vested interest. There's a just like being a coach, you know,
you have an objective perspective. Yeah.
And to have somebody who has the, you know, credentials, that has had the education that can normalize your experience for you. You know, I think it's just so valuable, so important. So many women don't even know what a doula is.
You
know, getting the word out. And there's just so many aspects of becoming a parent that are not addressed in the, you know, how to diaper a baby, how to nurse. It's like how to be a mom, like who are you now? And that's, I think that's a really important part of that postpartum work. So, you know,
doing a lot of talking with them afterwards. Just like,
it's like emotional counseling kind of thing. A lot of that. Yeah.
I think too, I mean, one tip that I give a lot of my parents when they're talking about having a lot of visitors, and granted, that's not going to happen right now because we're isolating, but you know, when they talk about having a lot of visitors, I say, you know, really try to limit the length of time. Because babies are so easily overstimulated, and what they'll do if they are overstimulated is they'll scream and cry, or they'll just shut down and go to sleep. And so if they're sleeping because they're overstimulated and there's too much going on, and I've seen that when I had visitors with my twins, they just slept and they're like, they're so good, they're just sleeping the whole time. And it's like, well, I didn't realize at the time because I didn't have this information, but they were overstimulated and we were missing feeding cues. You know, like my breasts weren't getting stimulated as much because people were over and visiting and they weren't letting me know they were hungry because they were shut down. So definitely keeping the stimulation low, giving everybody breaks, maybe taking them into another room where it's quiet and chill, and you know, have that time to see how they're doing. I do tell people, it's a great idea to just have this like a running whiteboard or something like that where visitors could see, and you have a running list of all the chores that are on your to-do list, right?
Yeah.
So
Don't do that for me.
I do that for my clients too.
Nice. I love that.
Garbage needs to go out, dishes need to be washed, dishwasher emptied, all the little things that you do every day.
Yeah.
Or maybe not every day, but frequently. And then when they come in and they say, oh, what can I do for you? It's really hard to say, oh, could you take out the trash to your aunt or cousin or something like it?
Because they come over and they want to see the baby and they want to hold the baby and be like, let me take the baby off your hands. And you're like, that's
so
not,
you can go. Yeah.
Right. And you're like, no, that's not what I want or what the baby needs.
Yeah. Baby needs to be with mom.
Yeah.
Like, that's home right now. Like that's
right. It's traumatic. Birth is traumatic for babies.
And they need to recover together. They need to maintain that. So passing them around is like, really short if you're going to do it, really quickly. It doesn't need to be prolonged. But having that there so you can just say, well, you know what, we have a list. If you want to pick something up there, that'd be great. And so then the pressure's off, and if they want to take out the garbage, they can take out the garbage. If they want to do dishes, they can do dishes. Yeah. So, I always recommend that to new parents, and just encourage them to take this time to really bond and find your way, because it's challenging. Yeah, you really learn what your boundaries are and what they need to be, and also what your baby's boundaries are. I love what you said about each baby has a different temperament. And actually I was going to ask you, having twins, like, did you notice that like they were like a lot different, or were they kind of similar? What was their personality or temperament like? They were different. Yeah. I mean, it's a boy and a girl. They're a boy and a girl too. So I mean, that plays into it also, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much their sex has played into it, but my daughter was very like active and independent. She wanted to like stand from like birth. It seemed like she was pushing with her legs so much, and she was not one to just like lay on your chest and snuggle. She would prefer to be laid down on a surface. She liked her space. Maybe she just was tired of being in the womb with a brother. She's like, get away from me. You're smothering me. Yeah. Maybe she's more of an introvert and, just needs some time to like, get back to herself. But, and then my son was like, do not put me down. I'm so interesting. Yeah. I'm just this little blob that doesn't want to do a whole bunch of, standing and exercise and stuff. Just hold me. Aww. Just nurse me all the time. Like he wanted all the attention. Yeah. Nice.
My kids are not twins, but they I have a non-gender, but was born female, and a boy, and same thing. My boy was just like this loving blob. Yeah, loving blob. Like, even when he was a little kid, he would come up and snuggle, whereas my oldest, that was born female, was very much like, when we held her, she had to have her face out. She wanted to be seeing what was happening. Yeah. Whereas my baby boy, just his head was right here all the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was like, my son was overwhelmed by the garbage truck driving by. Like too much light. Like he was very sensitive, highly sensitive to a lot of things. And my daughter was just like, bring it on, world. Yeah. Nice. I love it. So how now do you bring your energy work into it with your clients? Do you bring that up, or do you marry the two? There's a line at work. I can't promote like my work outside. That's just not cool. So I agreed to this when I signed up for that work, but gotcha. And I think not everybody's open to energy work. Some people think it's voodoo, that it maybe has like a religious connotation somewhere in there or something, and like, I'm Christian, I can't do energy work, but it's not religious for me. No, it's universal life force healing energy that's I'm just channeling through me. So I typically I do more distance work. So I do distance healings for clients in Oregon, and some that are just farther away in California, or like
right now, if I had the time right now, I could be doing a lot of distance work, but when I'm not working, because I don't know what next week is going to bring. I don't know what the week after is going to bring. I'm kind of expecting a call from the hospital because now that we're isolated, I know people are still able to go out for medical care. So I probably will still see those emergent newborn clients come in for lactation consults. But I'm kind of expecting when the hospital gets overwhelmed that they'll be calling all hands on deck. So right now I'm not doing any extra Reiki work. I'm just soaking up all this time with the kids while I have it, and then seeing what's to come. I don't know what's to come, but I don't. I have a website. Like, I have the Reiki work on there. I do see clients in my home, and then I get to use my big crystals with them. I like to build crystal grids. I like to I signed up with Ojai Cares to do Reiki work there, and then abruptly, like a week later, we had to shut down for CV. So but hopefully once things will mellow out a little bit, I don't know. I don't know what's to come.
But we're in such an uncertain time, for sure.
I would love to do some more distance work. For sure. But it's tough to integrate at work.
Well, at that work, but like, maybe if it's like you have, say, could you work with your like clients, say that you met through work, and then say they were interested in your work and they came to you and were like, hey, I'd like you to help me. Like, have you ever done it for babies too, like Reiki for children?
Oh, I love, yes. So I don't really see too many clients that I have worked with in lactation, unless sometimes they'll Google me, and so they'll see that I do other work, and then they'll inquire. And that's okay. I can definitely do that. But one of my favorite, that's part of why I started the Reiki work, is that I wanted, in my postpartum doula business, I wanted to incorporate it. And I do a little package where I do a postpartum belly binding with the Bangux belly binding, and just a little ceremony there. I have a client where I was doing lactation work. I did a belly binding, and then I love to do just could be a newborn. It could be, basically, I work on the newborns for a very short period of time, and I'll just kind of like put them in a ring sling and do a little bit of Reiki, because they don't require much most of the time. And then I'll have mom on the massage table, and I'll wear baby and then work on mom. And I love working on them as a dyad. It's lovely.
That is awesome. That sounds so magical.
I know, it's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
That's so cool.
Wow. So, and you're in the Carlsbad area, or are you Ventura County? Well, I mean, I live in Newbury Park, but I drive to Ventura for work. So all you listeners in the area who have newborn babies,
don't call me right now.
She's like, don't call me.
Who are going to have newborn babies in about 2 months.
Right? Yeah. Or next year, after this isolation has taken its toll on everybody.
But there's always distance work, and so I work well with photos. So I say, text me a picture, and then I can really kind of focus my energy in on the person and go from there.
Nice. That's really cool. I love that. I can't wait to learn how to do that in level 2. That's when you learn how to do the distance Reiki, right? I'm excited to do that. Yay. So as we wrap up, what is some, like, maybe one piece of advice or guidance you would have for new moms who may be struggling, who don't have the community or are searching for that community?
Who are isolated right now.
Especially if in this, what we're doing, like, what is there anything that has come up for you that you've realized you need to, like, say to people?
I think it trust yourself. Trust that your body can do this, that you can do this. But really, connection is key, and finding support, finding other moms, virtually, who are in the same place and going through the same thing.
Yes.
Because you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You are not alone. We have in Ventura County, we have the Maternal Mental Health Coalition. We have Ventura County Breastfeeding Coalition. Mm-hmm. We have the New Parent Resource Center is a great resource, but we Birch Family Birth Services. We have so many resources locally. Yeah. But really just finding a community, whether it's through a Facebook group or whatever it is, connecting with other moms.
Yeah. I love that. And are there any resources that you give out often either, like books or people to follow, or
the first 40 days? Is that what it's
I don't know.
There's, oh my gosh,
you can look it up and we'll write it. Once you get us the actual title, we'll put it in the show notes.
There's
the first 40 days is a great one. There's, I think, just a more holistic, I can pull up a couple and get
if you have a couple. If not, then but like looking at something that's where you're looking at the whole person, mind, body, spirit, like all of it, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Awesome.
I mean, Dr. Sears' books are pretty good. I mean, I think when we try to schedule too much, we don't allow ourselves to listen to our babies, and our babies can't read books. They don't know what the book says. They're just trying to communicate their needs to us.
Yes.
So
I love that.
Really listening to your baby, and then figuring out what do these things that they're telling me mean. What is that? Rooting. What is this cry? What are these noises?
Right.
There's like the Dunstan baby language. There's the sleep, what is it? The 4 S's and Dr. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. All these things by
it's fine. It's just you'll get it, and we'll write it. But it's understanding that the time is best spent observing and getting to know your child, because they're trying to tell you when they need what and what they need. And that there are different types of cries for
we emotionally
things.
Regulate our babies. So if they are not and it's like this feedback loop, right? Like if they're upset, then we get upset and we get stressed, and then we're like, what's wrong with my baby? Why can't I fix it? And I think having that perspective switch to say, your baby's trying to communicate with you. And so just responding and saying, oh, you're not happy right now. Something's up with you. I'm going to help you through this. Versus, I don't know what I'm doing. But changing that perspective to say, how can I help you through this? Even sometimes verbalizing that to your baby and asking, oh, baby, how can I help you through this? What do you need from me?
Right.
Takes that pressure off. It's like, oh, it's not me doing something
don't
wrong.
make it about you. Make it about it's about your child. It's not
needs.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's really important. We internalize so much as parents, and we take responsibility for what they're feeling and how they're acting, and we think it's our fault when really, they're just trying to communicate with us.
Yep. And they're born so brilliant, so brilliant. They do all these crazy things, and sometimes, it hurts, like, especially if you're nursing. I'm talking about nursing mainly. There's like, that they do certain things, like their hands are always in the way, right? They're trying to get latched on for that first in the beginning, and it's
they're
like,
frustrated.
oh, guess what? Those hands are massaging and helping stimulate letdown. They do all these things that make sense and are, instinctual, and we like try to say, why are you doing that? That's wrong. And
right. Because
really
it depends on our comfort level too of being touched, like some, and so I was just actually telling two people who aren't parents about how that's a thing, like twiddling the other nipple, like helps stimulate milk production, like when they're nursing, like that's a thing that they do. So like my son wouldn't do that to my nipple, but I have a mole right here on my neck, and he would do it to my mole. So I just let him do it.
But that's another like dark spot.
Yeah, he picked it off. He picked part of it off.
Oh no.
I was fine with it. I was like, that's fine.
I
would rather you do, because my nipples are sensitive. So I was like, I'd rather you do that than my nipple, honestly. Yeah. And I didn't need help with stimulation of milk production. So
yep, that nipple stretch does stimulate letdown. So
yeah, exactly.
They're brilliant.
They are.
And trusting our babies. And if something's hurting, getting professional help, because you know, the sooner you can get help, the easier things are to fix. The easier you are to heal if you have any damage. And
and we're not supposed to be in so much pain, you know, whether that's physical, emotional, mental. You know, I don't think we realize that. Like, why do we make ourselves suffer? We think that, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, like that martyr kind of, you know, exactly. Don't suffer. There's ways to alleviate that stress that you're feeling, you know.
And there's support. There's support out there.
Exactly. So much support. Yeah. Yep. Yes, that's why women need to gather more often. I mean, right now virtually, but when we can in person.
Yes.
Gather and share and talk and
learn from each other, right? That's how you talk to other moms who've been through it. They're like, oh, that's normal. Oh, honey, that's normal. You know, like it makes you feel better. Like when you can say, this is what I'm experiencing, and you're thinking it's wrong, but then that person's like,
and
oh,
it won't
I totally
last forever.
Right,
in
exactly.
3 weeks, it'll be totally different.
Yes, there's something about when you're in that like deep, like, you know, I don't even know what it is, just emotional muck, like you were talking about, to where it feels like you're never going to get out of it. And this is life now. Is this how life is going to be now?
Yep.
Yep. Well, so what services are you offering, or what can people get a hold of you for? At the moment, I'm sure you're more limited, but where can people get a hold of you or see what you have to offer?
The New Parent Resource Center through Community Memorial Health Services is where I'm doing my lactation work right now. And I've got, you know, so many resources there. So I really try to see and it's much less expensive. It's sometimes, in many cases, it's free to see me there if you had your baby at CMH. Otherwise, it's like a one-time $50 fee, and then you have access to me for a whole year for follow-up consults. Which is unheard of. Like you can't get that lactation
that's a good deal
for that price. So the group there, that's mainly it right now. You know, with everything that's going on, I'm trying to focus on the family. I may be more available for Reiki work in a bit, but I had to turn my first client down yesterday. But you know, hey,
do what's best for you.
Yep. So I hope to have, my website is called the Seeds of Support. Business, I couldn't find the Seeds of Support, was already taken. So it's theseedsofsupport.com.
Okay.
And so that's my website. And that's where I can be contacted for the Reiki work and the packages and all that good stuff. Hopefully sometime in the future. With more availability.
Yes. Yeah. And you'll let everyone know on your website, I guess, when that is available.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of there. I just, you know, you can reach out and then I kind of let you know. But
I can turn you down or not. It's a crapshoot.
I'm on Facebook, Seeds of Support on Facebook. I have a Janice Mama 77 on Instagram. So you can see my crystal grids and my puppy pictures and my, you know, it's a combo personal and business.
Nice.
And Instagram page. So that's
cool.
It.
Well, thank you so much, Janice. It was such a pleasure hearing your story and all of your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's so great to hear people out there supporting moms in real time in the community. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for reminding me that there are so many resources out there, and getting connected is key. So
it is.
That awareness out there.
Yep.
Thank you. Be well, everyone.
Yes. Take care of yourselves and wash your hands and still stay wild while also being safe.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.